Welcome to Power in Words, a sanctuary for the weary soul and a beacon for the seeking mind, where we gather not merely to consume, but to ignite the dormant embers of the spirit and transform them into a blazing sun of purpose. In this space, we believe that words are not just symbols on a page or sounds in the air. They are the very architecture of our reality, the vibrations that can shatter the walls of doubt and build bridges to a version of ourselves we have only dared to dream of in the quietest hours of the night. This is a place where we find the energy to rise, the courage to change, and the wisdom to flow with the rhythm of existence. And today, we dive into the profound depths of a philosophy that has the power to reshape your entire life. In the vast annals of human history, few figures have bridged the gap between physical mastery and spiritual depth as seamlessly as the legendary Bruce Lee, a man who moved like a flickering flame and spoke with the clarity of a mountain stream. When he uttered the immortal words, "Be water, my friend," he was not merely offering a technique for combat, but a blueprint for living in a world that is often rigid, unforgiving, and relentless in its attempts to break us. To understand the magnitude of this wisdom, we must first look at the vessel of our own lives and ask ourselves what we have allowed to settle at the bottom. We often walk through this world carrying the stagnant sediment of past failures, the jagged stones of old resentments, and the stagnant pools of fear that keep us anchored to a shore that no longer serves us. We become brittle, like dry wood that snaps under the pressure of the wind, or like iron that eventually rusts and flakes away when exposed to the elements. Bruce Lee invites us to abandon the safety of the shore and the rigidity of the stone, and instead to become the very element that can carve through mountains without ever losing its essence. Imagine for a moment the journey of a single drop of water falling from the peak of a high mountain. It does not possess a map, nor does it have the strength to push the rocks out of its path through sheer force of will. Yet it reaches the ocean. It reaches its destination because it understands a secret that we often forget in our modern, frantic lives. The power of yielding is often greater than the power of resistance. When the water encounters a boulder, it does not contend with the stone. It does not stop to lament the unfairness of the obstacle. It simply flows around it, over it, or through the cracks within it. It remains true to its nature while adapting its form to the reality of the moment. This is the ultimate psychological flexibility that we must cultivate within ourselves. We spend so much of our energy trying to force the world to conform to our expectations, trying to make the river flow uphill to satisfy our ego, and when the world refuses to bend, we break. But the one who is like water is unbreakable. You can strike water, but you cannot wound it. You can try to divide it, but it simply flows back together, more unified than before. To be water is to possess a resilience that is not born of toughness, but of an boundless capacity to adapt and persist. Empty your mind, he said, be formless, shapeless, like water. This process of emptying is perhaps the most difficult task any human being can undertake. We are taught from a young age to fill our minds with facts, with social expectations, with the labels that others place upon us, and with the heavy armor of our own identities. We become so full of who we think we should be that there is no room left for who we actually are. Think of a cup. If it is full of bitter tea, it cannot receive the sweet nectar of a new experience. If your mind is full of the how things have always been, there is no space for the landscape of possibility. To empty your mind is to practice the art of unlearning, to peel away the layers of conditioning that tell you that you are not enough, that you are too old, too young, or too broken to start anew. It is a psychological cleansing that allows you to approach every moment with the curiosity of a child and the stillness of a deep lake. When you are empty of ego, you become a vessel for pure potential. You are no longer defined by your past mistakes, but by your present capacity to flow into the next shape that life requires of you. Consider the reality of change, that one constant in this universe which causes so much anxiety and suffering for those who cling to the past. We fear the unknown because we cannot see the path ahead, but water does not need to see the path to follow the gravity of its purpose. Whether it is in a cup, a bottle, or a teapot, it becomes that vessel. This is a profound metaphor for the roles we play in our lives. There are seasons when you must be the cup, small and contained, focused on the intimate details of your own growth and healing. There are seasons when you must be the teapot, sharing your warmth and your essence with those around you, providing comfort and nourishment. And there are seasons when you must be the ocean, vast and powerful, capable of carrying the weight of ships and weathering the most violent storms. The suffering occurs when we try to remain the cup when life is calling us to be the ocean, or when we desperately cling to being the teapot when the fire has gone out and we need to return to the stillness of the mountain stream. By being formless and shapeless, you stop fighting the seasons of your life and you start dancing with them. You realize that you're not the shape, you are the water that inhabits it. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. This duality is where the true power of the human spirit resides. There is a time for the gentle flow of empathy, for the soft rain that brings life to the garden of our relationships, and for the quiet persistence of the stream that slowly wears away the sharp edges of a difficult situation. But there is also a time to crash, to bring the full weight of our convictions and our passions down upon the barriers of injustice or the walls of our own self-imposed limitations. When water crashes, it is not out of malice, but out of the sheer momentum of its nature. To have the power to crash, you must first have the discipline to flow. You cannot have the tidal wave without the depth of the ocean. Many of us try to crash through our problems with anger or frustration, but because we have no depth, our efforts are like a splash in a puddle, loud, messy, but ultimately inconsequential. Bruce Lee's life was a testament to this balance. He faced the crushing weight of racism in Hollywood, the physical agony of a back injury that doctors said would leave him unable to walk, and the rigid traditions of martial arts that sought to gatekeep knowledge. He did not fight these things with bitterness. He flowed around them with creativity, he adapted his techniques, and when the moment was right, he crashed through the ceiling of what was thought possible for an Asian man in the West. He became a global icon not because he was the strongest, but because he was the most fluid. Think of the stress and the pressure you feel in your daily life right now. Perhaps it is the pressure of a career that feels like a narrow pipe, or the weight of a responsibility that feels like a heavy stone on your chest. When you feel this pressure, remember the nature of water. When water is put into a pipe, it does not complain about the narrowness. It increases its velocity. It uses the pressure to move faster, to push harder, to reach the opening with even more energy. Your challenges are not meant to stop you. They are meant to refine your flow. They are the banks of the river that give you direction and force. Without the banks, the water would just be a stagnant swamp. It is the very obstacles you face that turn your life from a quiet pond into a majestic river. The psychologist within us knows that resilience is not the absence of stress, but the ability to integrate that stress into a meaningful narrative of growth. We grow not in spite of the rocks in our path, but because of them. There is a quiet, haunting beauty in the stillness of water as well. When a lake is still, it acts as a perfect mirror for the sky, reflecting the clouds, the stars, and the infinite blue. But the moment the water becomes agitated, the reflection is lost, shattered into 1,000 distorted pieces. Our minds are the same. When we are caught in the turbulence of anxiety, when we are churning with the winds of gossip, comparison, and greed, we lose sight of our true selves. We lose the reflection of our own divinity and our own potential. This is why stillness is not a luxury. It is a necessity for the soul. To be water is to know when to be still, to allow the silt of the world to settle to the bottom until the water becomes clear enough to see through to the very depths of your being. In that clarity, you find the answers that no book can give you. You find the strength that no motivational speech can provide. You find the power in words that are spoken in the silence of your own heart. We must also recognize that water is the most patient of all elements. It does not have a deadline. It has been flowing since the beginning of time, and it will continue to flow long after we are gone. This patience is a form of profound faith, a faith in the process, a faith in the eventual outcome, and a faith in the path itself. We live in an era of instant gratification where we want the mountain to move the moment we ask it to. But the river knows that the mountain will eventually yield. not through a single dramatic event, but through the cumulative power of 1 billion gentle touches over 1,000 years. Do not be discouraged if your progress feels slow. Do not be disheartened if the changes you are making in your life seem invisible to the world. You are like the water in the heart of the stone, expanding slowly, day by day, until one morning the stone simply falls apart. Your consistency is your power. Your persistence is your destiny. Every small act of kindness, every moment of self-discipline, every time you choose to get back up after a fall, you are adding another drop to the ocean of your transformation. As you move forward from this moment, take this philosophy with you as a living, breathing companion. When you feel yourself becoming rigid with anger, whisper to yourself, "Be water." When you feel yourself paralyzed by the fear of a new beginning, remind yourself, "Empty your mind." When you feel like the world is a vessel that is too small for your spirit, remember that you are formless and shapeless, and you can expand to fill any space you choose. You are a miracle of fluidity in a world that tries to freeze you in place. You are a descendant of the stars and the sea, and your potential is as vast and as deep as the Pacific. Bruce Lee didn't just give us a quote. He gave us a way to reclaim our humanity from the machinery of modern existence. He showed us that the ultimate warrior is the one who can love deeply, think clearly, and flow effortlessly through the chaos of life. Let the words you've heard today soak into the soil of your consciousness like a gentle spring rain. Let them nourish the seeds of greatness that have been waiting for the right moment to sprout. You are not a static object. You are a process. You are a journey. You are a river that is constantly renewing itself, never the same from one second to the next. Embrace the fluidity. Honor the flow. Trust that the same force that guides the planets and moves the tides is currently moving through you, seeking expression, seeking growth, and seeking the ocean of your highest self. The power in words is only realized when it is translated into the power of action. And the most powerful action you can take today is to release your grip on the past and allow yourself to flow into the future with an open heart and a clear mind. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single drop, and that drop is the choice you make right now to stop fighting against the current of your own life and to start swimming with the wisdom of the universe. Be brave enough to be soft, be strong enough to be flexible, be wise enough to be empty, and above all, be kind to yourself as you navigate the rapids and the waterfalls that lie ahead. You are doing better than you think. You have more strength than you know, and the ocean is waiting for you with open arms. In the silence that follows these words, listen to the rhythm of your own breath, the ebb and flow of the tide within your chest, and know that you are already the very thing you are seeking. Adaptability is the ultimate form of strength. If this message has touched your heart and sparked a light within your soul, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to the Power in Words channel, where we will continue to explore the profound truths that empower us to live with passion, purpose, and an unbreakable spirit. Let us walk this path together, flowing as one towards the horizon of our greatest potential.